Hello, beautiful people. Good day. Welcome back to Economics, our YouTube channel. So, in our last class, we spoke about, the physiocrats. So, today we're looking at the classical economics, or let me say, yeah, the classical economics school of thought, school of economic thought. So, let me put it that way: the classical economics school of economic thought, and we'll be looking at the contributions of Adam Smith, David Ricardo, Thomas Malthus, and John Stuart Mill. So what are our lesson outcomes? So we are going to introduce ourselves to the classical school of economic thoughts, and then we are going to talk about Adam Smith and his contributions. So when I say his contributions, I mean his policy, his principles, right? His ideas, and by extension his policies. Then we are going to have an assignment. So this is just trying to say that out of the four people that we have, that we are going to study in this particular school. So this class is devoted to the study of the ideas of Adam Smith. So first, what is the classical economic school of thought? So the classical economics is also known as classical political economics. So in case you are given a question, maybe you should talk about classical political economics. Okay, so it's just the same as what you already know. So it refers to the economic school of thought that originated in the late 18th and early 19th centuries. And I think from our last class, we said that even the physiocrats, they emerged in the late 18th century as well. Okay, so what you should note is that I don't think they were not, going. What I wanted to note is that the physiocrats, their era was very short term. Okay, their era was short-lived, so it was not a really long period. So before classical economics took over. Okay, especially in Britain, shortly after the birth of capitalism. So you see, one of the things that shaped or that led to the introduction of the classical school, okay, and the industrial revolution. So let me just read the whole thing again. Classical economics is also known as classical political economics. It refers to the economic school of thought that originated in the late 18th and early 19th centuries, especially in Britain, shortly after the birth of capitalism and the industrial revolution. So those are two significant events, that shaped the classical economic school of thought. Now, Scottish economist Adam Smith is often referred to as the progenitor of the mainstream ideas of this era. So all of this is just big grammar. So what we're trying to say is that a lot of people refer to Adam Smith as the father of modern economics. Okay, so not that economics hasn't been existing. So before, but it has been kind of scattered. Looking at the medieval times now, looking at the physiocrats, the mercantilists. So here it's kind of started. Economics became like a standard field. Right? It started to become a standard field from the works of the Scottish economist Adam Smith. So history, a lot of people in history refer to him as the father of modern economics, okay, or maybe of political economics or something like that. Okay, so regardless, some of the ideas of this school, so that means some of the ideas of the classical school of thought were first introduced by the French physiocrats. Okay, if you look at, if you remember, I think, yeah, the physiocrats were the one that were talking about agricultural labor being the source of wealth. Okay, I think yes, agricultural labor being the source of wealth, right? Now they were also the one that were, I think if you remember, is it Sugot now that I was saying, Jackie Sugot in the last class? I think it was him. I hope I've not mixed these names up. That was angry. Is it him or Vincent Igoni now? One of them. Okay, one of those proponents of the school. I was angry at the fact that the government was intervening too much in the economic activities of the state. Okay, at the time. All right. So the idea is because we'll soon be talking about the free market now. So the idea of the free market came from what the physiocrats had put in place to them, what they were trying to talk about, right? So Adam Smith kind of popularized the idea and kind of gave it a proper form. But this idea came from the physiocrats. They were the ones that first said that government intervention was unnecessary, in the activities of the state. And if you trace down the story, it goes back to the time of mercantilism when government was intervening in virtually everything in favor of the mercantilists. Okay, so because you might have a question that says that the classical school of economics is said to have, some of the ideas in classical school of economics is said to have evolved from the physio class, so discourse. So you have to be able to like know what are the ideas that they share in common, and then begin to discuss it. Okay, they share in common and were first introduced by the physio. And I've told you one, the idea of the free market. Let the market be. So you don't have to regulate the whole thing, right? Just let the market be and let it work, and so on and so forth. So let's continue. So going back, regardless, some of the ideas of this school were first introduced by the French physiocrats. Other contributors of this era were David Ricardo, Thomas Malthus, John Stuart Mill, Jean-Baptiste Say, Eugene Baum von Bauweg. Wow, one person having his own name. They have Robert Jacques Turgot. So I remember this guy's name being among the physiocrats. Well, like I said, there was something he said, that's kind of useful in this particular school too. But if primarily we had to classify Robert Jacques Turgot, I think it's just better to put him under the physiocrats. Okay. Now, what were the things that led to the development of the classical school of economics? So we've spoken about capitalism and industrial revolution. So going into the second paragraph, self-regulating democracies and capitalistic market developments form the basis for classical economics. So you also have self-regulating democracies. Now, before this time, I think coming from, is it the medieval times now, you see that everything was just monarchy. Okay, you have the king, or the, what do they have in Egypt? Pharaoh. The Pharaoh or the emperor was the one that was, that was just kind of dictating what should be done, in terms of economic activities. It was assigning people and this one and that one. But then, self-regulating democracies began to develop. I believe you know the definition of democracy, at least the layman definition given by Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln now, that says that democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people, right? So it was not monarchy again. So powers were being decentralized. I mean political power were being decentralized. So from there, and also capitalistic market development, capitalism, okay, formed the basis for classical economics. So before its rise, now most national economies followed a top-down command and control monarchic system of government. So I've explained that, so it shouldn't be a big deal now. Okay, I think in one of them we had the philosopher king, we had the guardians, then you have the philosopher king, the guardians, and others under them. Okay, so the artisans, the farmers, and people like that. And the philosopher kings are the ones that go to a special school to learn wisdom. They and the guardians, they go to learn wisdom, and then they are still the one that assign people. They are the who is going to be in the army, who is going to be in the defense. Okay, when I say defense now, I mean who are the ones that you are going to assign to protect the state, okay, in terms of military might. And then they also look at others that are going to be involved in the productive activity, like the real economic activities of the state. Okay, but during this period, it wasn't like that anymore. Okay, so many of the famous classical thinkers, including Smith and Turgot, developed their theories as alternatives to the protectionist and inflationary policies of mercantilist Europe. Okay, so they more or less like look at the shortcomings of mercantilism, and then they came up with something. So if you remember then that mercantilism was all about protectionism and bullionism. Okay, so they looked at it and this thing is not working. And protectionism and inflation, so those were two significant features of mercantilism. We discussed that in the previous in one of classes, or in the previous classes, okay, one or more of the previous classes. So I don't think I should just dwell too much on that. So who is Adam Smith? Who is this guy? So first, Adam Smith lived between 1723 and 1790. We introduced him before, but let us just give another formal introduction. So he was an 18th century Scottish economist and philosopher, and a prominent figure during the Scottish Enlightenment. So you may just go and browse, okay, what does Scottish Enlightenment mean? So he's often referred to as the father of classical economy, or father of modern economy, as a result of the ideas that he put forth in his book, An Inquiry into Nature and Causes of the Wealth of Nations. So the book was published in 1776. Alright, so here is like a cover of the book. So you see that as with the idea. So even if you don't remember what I've said, at least for those that learn by seeing pictures and images and graphics and what have you, so you can just see this and kind of remember. So the book is, people refer to it as the wealth of nations, the wealth of nations, wealth of nations. But the full title of the book is an inquiry into the nature and the causes of the wealth of nations. So what causes the wealth of nations? Okay. So and the work is just to mark the inception of classical economics. So it was after this work was published and people started going through it and they were like, wow, okay, okay, interesting, interesting, interesting. Okay. So what were its principles? What were its principles? I want us to pay attention here, serious attention here. So what were its principles? So number one, rationality. Rationality. So according to Adam Smith, he kind of observed that people act in their own self-interest. So people do things that promote their self-interest. Like people are smart enough, okay, to weigh the cost and benefits of things and then do the best thing for themselves. Okay, so that's the principle of rationality. So it is the assumption that people always act in their own self-interest, So people kind of weigh. So out of okay, that is no one out of his or her free will makes a harmful choice if there are better choices, and that people weigh cost and benefit of every action before taking them to suit their personal interest. So when I teach people these things, when I teach them about self-interest, it's not selfish. It's not selfishness. Okay, self-interest is not selfishness. The selfishness is this should be for me alone, right? So this should be for me alone. Let's say mommy comes in and she bought a lot of fruits, mangoes, and whatever like that, and I go and I just pack everything. And we are four kids. She bought the whole things for 4 children, and I take everything. I run out of the house and I consume them all. That means I'm selfish. Okay, but self-interest is more or less like putting myself first. Okay, I know what's good, right? I also want good things in life. So as mommy has come with the fruit, I look at it, which one is the bigger one, which one is the biggest one, then I take it and I begin to consume. So others can take the other ones that are not as big as the one that I've taken. Okay, but it's by in terms of chicken. So as they are trying to cook, as they are trying to maybe is a banquet or mommy just says that go into the kitchen and take your food by yourself. Then you look at the meats and you pick one meat is small, you leave it. You pick another meat is small, you leave it. You look at the one that is big, okay, take that one. Alright. The selfishness would have meant that you take all the meat in the pot, right? But self-interest is like, okay, what's best here? What's a good thing here? Okay, then I take it. And others can go and find their spare roots. Okay. So the rationality assumption is that people always act in their own best interest. Okay, in their own best interest, they put themselves first. Okay, so if myself and you, if we're able to be trading, okay, I want to buy something from you, you want to sell something for me. So what I'll be looking at is I'll be looking at for myself. Okay, I'll be looking at for myself in that transaction. I'll be looking at for myself. So how can I get the best thing that you are producing, the best thing that you are selling at a very low price? And for you, you are also looking out for yourself as the seller. Okay, this that I'm selling, how can I sell this thing at a very high price to this person? Okay, how can I sell it at a very and make a lot of profit from it? So that's just it. So he observed that this is what rules people. No matter who you are, this is what rules you. Like whatever action you want to take, you first consider yourself, right? And then you weigh what is the cost, what is the benefit. You put the two together, and then you when the benefits greater than the cost of the action you want to go for, then you go for it. That's just it. All right. And from the principle of rationality, I think I've read the whole thing here, right? On the principle of rationality, it came about the principle of free market and the invisible hand. Okay, technically I've kind of explained what the free market, but let's just look at it very well. Okay, very well. So as a result of the rationality principle, Adam Smith believed that people look out for themselves rather than the government and end up doing okay. What I meant here was that Adam Smith believed that people look out for themselves, right? So the government doesn't have to do any form of regulation. Okay, the government doesn't have to do any form of regulation. The government doesn't. I think I mentioned it somewhere. I don't know if it's in this class. Okay, I mentioned it somewhere that in a particular era, before free markets begin, before I started like advocating for free market, just as the physiocrats also did. Okay, the government was the one. The government had agencies. It had its own like economic bodies that would then survey the needs of people. After surveying the needs of people, then they communicate the needs of the people to those in charge of production in the economy, and then tell them that, okay, I think it's in this class, that okay, people need, we've weighed the needs of people. People need this amount of grain, this amount of wheat, this amount of this, amount of that. So tells the farmer, start producing them. Okay, and Adam Smith is saying that's not necessary. That's not necessary. Just people know what they want, right? People know what they want, so just leave people alone. People know what they want, and then the market is going to do justice to whatever it is that people want. Okay, so let's just continue. Okay, Adam Smith believed that people look out for themselves, so and end up doing a better job deciding what should be produced, right? What should be distributed and what should be consumed. So people, by their decisions, self-interested decisions, so end up, doing a better job than the government. Okay, in determining what is produced, what is distributed, and what is consumed. Okay, so this mechanism is what is referred to as the invisible hand, and is efficient than the hand of the government. Okay, so what I mean here by saying the hand of the government is efficient than government saying that it's the one that wants to be dictating, or by regulation or by directives, by economic directives, determine what is produced, what is consumed, and what is distributed. Okay, so when we talk about efficiency, I'm going to still talk about efficiency later on, right? How does the free market ensure efficiency? I'm going to talk about it later on. So Smith was of the opinion that the pursuit of self-interest eventually creates positive externalities. Okay, so now you should know what an externality is. Okay, an externality is the cost or benefit that a third party bears from a transaction between two other parties that he or she was not a part of. Okay, so if I should redefine it again, because I'm not reading from a book, I would like to say a different thing. Okay, so externality is just talking about the costs or benefits that accrue to a third party, okay, from a transaction between two parties that he or she was not aware of. Okay, so the transaction that went on between the two parties, the buyer and the seller, it was not your business. But then, as a result of their transaction, you have been affected. So you may be affected positively, and then you may be affected, negatively. Okay, now there's an example here, and then I'm going to give you the example of Adam Smith. Now, for example, I create classes like this is a class that I'm creating for our school, the Microeconomics. So I create classes to meet the needs of my students who pay. Do you understand? So that's like the primary thing. I create classes to meet the needs of my students who pay. They learn and pass their exams. Okay, so I'm going to tell you my objective later on. However, these students also go on to share what they have learned with their friends who did not pay, and then go on to excel in the exams too. Okay, so now the major transaction is between me, is between this school, my school, right, and my students. So that's the major transaction. So they come, they pay, they enjoy the classes, I make profits, and they pass their exams, right? So that's the major transaction. But there are some other people that are benefiting from the transaction between myself, my school, and my students. Okay, and which is the fact that some of these students go on to teach their classmates, and in fact they may be doing that because of whatever reasons, because they are also self-interested. So in you, and you'll see now let's continue reading. uh, the self-motivation of some of my own students for doing this may be attributed to empathy. So they may look at some of their friends who are unable to pay and say, okay, come on, let me teach you. You understand? So they look at from the aspect of they kind of, they are considering them that I don't want my friend to fail. Okay, so that is not the motive. That is not, although my school doesn't want students to fail, but it is still primarily concerned about its own students not failing. Do you understand? But some of the students now are going out to help their friends not to fail. So the interests, okay, the self-interest of some of the students is in their friends not failing. Okay. Now, other motivation might be political ambition in the department that requires votes. So after I've taught them and they've paid, transaction has gone, they go on to create positive benefits for some of their classmates again and their colleagues. They go on to teach them because they have political ambitions, and by the time they start going for their NESA presidency, NESA vice presidency, NESA social director, NESA treasurer, NESA this, NESA that, okay, I'm talking about Nigerian Economics School. It's Nigerian Economics, Nigerian Economic Student Association, NESA. I think that is it. All right. So by the time they start doing this, they have a self-interest in mind. Okay. I'm talking about a different category of our students. Now they have a different self-interest in mind, which is for them to garner votes by the time they begin to conduct elections. Okay, so you see that from the primary transaction between myself and my students, we are seeing two other positive benefits, which we call the positive externalities, according to people that are not part of the school. Okay, number one, some of them go on to pass their exams. Okay, or let me say they go on to pass their exams anyway, and generally all of them go on to pass their exams. All right, but then after passing their exams, which is more than the one from my school, um, some people also are able to get votes to win elections. Do you understand? Get votes to win elections. And some others, their self-motivation is improve fellowship attendance. Okay, they start to conduct other smaller tutorials every here and there, and they get what they put together the things that they've learned from this school, and then begin to teach people. Okay, they begin to teach people as a fellowship. They want you to come to our fellowship, but then we are providing this and that for students, especially freshers. They are trying to convince them, say you conduct tutorials for them. They look at, okay, oh, this fellowship is really nice. They care about us, they care about our academics. So it's a selling point. All right, it's a selling point. And then their self-interest now is improve fellowship attendance. Okay, and then you see, if successful, right, they are going to have improved the number of people in their fellowship is going to increase. You understand? Then you also have people in terms of love interest. Okay, there's this beautiful girl that you're in love with in the class. So what can you do to just get her attention? You've been sending signals, she's not noticing your signals. But there's just this handsome guy. I think what happens the most is it's a guy that wants to, woo a girl. So what can I just do to get close to this girl? Okay, just call her. Can we be doing group reading, right? Can we be having discussions and this and that? Hey, that's interesting. Then you begin to take the things that you learned from here and you begin to conduct, you begin to have discussions. So your primary motivation is not for her to excel, right? That's secondary. Of course, you want her to excel, right? But your primary, you just want this person to be your girlfriend, right? Or maybe whatever, to be your love interest. So you can see that from just one transaction between a school and a student. There are other benefits. Many more students are able to excel in their exams. Some people are able to get, elected into political offices in the department. Some people are able to get improved fellowship attendance. Some people are able to get girlfriends and boyfriends, lovers, whatever. Okay, so these were the things that Adam Smith was saying. That free markets just enables all of these things. So you don't have to bother. I don't know the government. Just leave the market alone. All right. I continue with the example. I said I couldn't have intended all these positive externalities. For me, I just want a unique, immeasurably beneficial educational venture with a high market share and profitability. That's my own self-interest. Okay. However, in a bid to get what each of us wants, for me, I teach the students very well. Those who have other self-interest also teach their friends, prospective lovers, electorates, etc. well. Now, the benefit to the society is more than what each of us intended. Okay, so positive externality everywhere. All right, how about the illustration that Adam Smith gave? So he said that it is not, so he was talking about a butcher, brewer, and baker. It is not from the benevolence, so this is like straight from his book, okay, Birth of Nations. It is not from the benevolence of the butcher, okay, the brewer, or the baker that we expect our dinner. So it's not because they are good people. It's not because your butcher, your brewer, and baker, they are good people. They love you. It's not because they love you. They are so amazing. So they just begin to like provide you with meat, wine, and bread, right? So it's not that. It's from their regard to their own self-interest, just like my business, just like this business venture, right? So we address ourselves not to their humanity. So we are not addressing ourselves based on their love for us, okay, based on their consideration for us, but to their self-love. Do you understand? Are you saying that about their self-love? And never talk to them of our own necessities. So you don't come to me and say that, please, I want to pass my exam, so let me join your school. Are you for real? So what do I tell you? You have to pay. you understand? So don't just come to me coming from your own point of need and say, okay, just because you are needy, so I should give you this. No. So we never talk to them of our own necessities, but of their advantages. Okay, you appeal to their own advantages too. So that's why as a marketer, okay, when you want to do something, you appeal to, when you're arguing, when you want to like sell a product, you don't talk about the advantages of that product to yourself. You promote the advantages of the product to the prospective buyer. So you let them see it from that angle. So you see, yeah, you let them see it as a point of not helping. They are not helping you, right? They are helping themselves. So that's how you sell. Okay? They are helping, and you then begin to. I'm not asking to lie. You are not lying, okay? But you are not just talking about the benefits of that transaction to yourself. And you are, even if you were to talk about it, you are not exaggerating. You are not like making like the focal point. You're not making the focal points, right? So you're like, okay, if you join this school, you're going to pass your exams. You're going to do this. Yeah, you are going to have this and this and this and this. If you buy this product is going to be useful for you, like in this way, in that way, in that way, in that way, and then you begin to convince, right? And then the person looks at you, okay, that's true, that's true, that's true. The same thing for the buyer. So if the buyer wants to buy something from the buyer, begins to talk as if he or she is trying to help you, as if I don't buy this thing, you're not going to hit, okay. But no, that's not it. So we don't just address ourselves to their humanity or to their self-love and never talk to them of our own necessities, but of the advantages. So this guy, like, this is just economics, right? This is just common sense, right? Common sense. Right. So that's just what we have about the invisible hand, like buyers and sellers. Okay, was it in this class? I just hope it's in this class. So buyers and sellers, come together, from their own self-interest. Okay, they begin to trade. From their own self-interest, they begin to trade. And as they are trading, everybody gets what he or she wants. The market is efficient. If I have skipped something, it looks like I've skipped something before talking about the labor theory of value. Okay, let me just talk about the efficiency. How does the market promote efficiency? It's not here. It was meant to be here. How does the market promote efficiency? Number one, the market ensures that resources of a particular place is used in production. Okay, the free market now, the invisible one, ensures that whatever a business is producing, is from the resources that you have in that economy. That's number one. Then number two, the invisible one and the free market also ensure, when you say free market, you're talking about market devoid of government intervention. That's why free is there, free in front of the market. So market devoid of government intervention, okay, or government intrusion, right? Number two, there's also efficiency. The free market ensures efficiency in the aspect that it enables the production of goods that people want. Okay, it enables the production of goods that people want. So that's the second way that promotes efficiency. So if you are a producer and you are producing something that people don't want, people will not buy, and then your business dies. So that way, the market takes away your business. So that means your business is unproductive, right? And the market makes sure that it disappears and is replaced, by a more productive business venture. Okay, so it's not like what the government does, that the government will just command the manufacturers produce this thing and then force the people, the citizens, to buy it even though they don't want it. So that's not how it happens. For the free market, even of government intervention, you don't produce something that people don't value, that people don't want. So if you go on producing something that people don't want, then you are going to consume it yourself. Nobody's going to buy it because people are not being forced to buy it. The government is not compelling anybody to buy it. So as a result of that, the invisible one and the free market ensures that the market stays efficient in the sense that only what people value are produced by businesses. Okay. Then number three, it also ensures efficiency in the aspect that it enables businesses to provide services or to produce products that are affordable. Okay, that are affordable. You don't go on producing something that is useful to people but not affordable. So if it is useful to people and not affordable, nobody comes to buy from you, and then your business also dies. And it's going to be replaced by a business with a better technology that is able to produce that thing that people value at affordable prices. Okay, and so when you're asked to explain efficiency, so these are things that you should talk about. There is a fourth one now, but I can't remember. Right now. Okay, from that, time has gone. Let's just talk about labor theory of value and price determination. Here too, you should listen. You should pay attention to labor theory of value and price determination. Okay, according to the idea of Adam Smith. Now, I think we've been talking about labor theory of value for long, not just in this class. Okay, I think from that should be from the medieval times. Okay, and from there we understand what it is. So it's a theory that states that the value of a commodity in relation to another depends on the amount of labor time that goes into its production. I've explained this before, so I won't just dwell too much on it. For example, if it takes twice as many hours to kill a beaver, now this is like the real example. I think I used two different animals. Okay, when I was explaining the other time, but like this is like the real example. So, for example, if it takes twice as many hours to kill a beaver than it takes to kill a deer, okay, so that means it's costlier to kill a beaver, like it takes more time to kill a beaver than a deer. So a beaver will cost twice as much as a deer. Okay, so the labor theory of value was basically talking about relative price, the price of one commodity in terms of another commodity. So like I said, I won't dwell too much on that. So what did Adam Smith now say? What was his addition to the labor theory of value? All right, and the labor theory of value (LTV) was an early attempt by economists to explain why goods were exchanged for certain relative prices on the market. So LTV was first conceived by the ancient Greek and medieval philosophers before Adam Smith. I've explained it. David Ricardo and Marx etc. Okay, before Adam Smith, David Ricardo and Marx later refined it. Now Smith's refinement of the theory was the distinction between value in use and value in exchange. So now, because you might be given a question that, okay, discuss the labor theory of value under the following era, under the following school of thought. Okay, so now what is this guy bringing into the labor theory of value? Okay, so he was able to distinguish between, was able to break value down into value in use and value in exchange. You know, so to him, when we talk about value, I think there is a quote that I put in this text to support that argument. It's quote directly from his book. When we talk about value, we are talking about two things. So we are talking about value in terms of two things. One is value in use, which is talking about the usefulness of the product to whoever is consuming it. So that's value in use. And also talking about value in exchange, which is talking about how much benefits a product brings if you try to sell it. Okay, how much benefit a product brings if you try to sell it. Now let's go to the second paragraph. To Smith, value can be expressed in two ways. Value in use is the usefulness of the commodity to an individual, and the way he explained it was that it is equal to the amount of labor that it saves the individual in his regular activities, e.g. tools. So how do I explain this? When you buy, if you were to have a tool, so the value that you are going to give to it as a consumer now, looking at it from the perspective of the consumer, is going to be based on the amount of labor time that it is going to save you if you don't have the tools. Okay, the amount of labor time is going to save you if you have the tools, as against when you don't have the tools. Okay, so that's an example of value in use. So if I have a cutlass now, and then a cutlass helps me, so what I was doing for 12 hours before, I'm now doing it with 4 hours with a cutlass. Do you understand? So it saves me 8 hours. So the value I'm going to place on that product is in terms of that 8 hours of labor time that it saves me. Okay, so that's just the way. So because he was trying to also establish that labor is what determines value, and then he started giving various reasons. So here, continue to read. The value of a tool will be dependent on the amount of labor hours it saves its possessor, as against when the individual does not use the tool at all. Okay, so they are still looking at labor saved. Okay, labor saved. So value in use is talking about the amount of labor saved. And like I said, this guy is going somewhere. He's also trying to establish that what determines the value of a product is the labor in it. Okay, so here he's talking about labor saved, number one. Okay, on the other hand, value in exchange is the labor purchasing power of the commodity if traded. So if I have something that I want to sell, how much labor hours will I gain? Okay, if I'm selling the product, how many labor hours will I gain if I'm selling the product? Okay, now that is the amount of labor that the commodity can buy. The amount of labor. So if I were to exchange my commodity for something, so let me say I want to sell. If I want to sell, I want to sell my phone. Should I say I want to sell my phone now? Okay, let's say I want to sell my phone, for example. So selling my phone would now be in terms of, after selling this thing, whatever I get from it, how many labor hours would it enable me to buy? So now it's not talking about you going to hire somebody. No, but it's talking about what products could you buy. Okay, because by the time I sell by the time I sell this phone, I'll get money. Okay, I'll get money, and I'll use the money to buy something else. So the something else I'm buying, some labor hours have gone into it. Some labor hours have gone into it. So what I'm selling now, so how many labor hours would it enable me to buy? So what kind of products would it enable me to buy? You know, taking special consideration of the labor that also goes into that product. So as a farmer, if I'm selling my farm produce in the market, okay, and what I have in mind is to buy shirts, clothes from an artisan, or maybe from the mercantilist, the trader, okay, maybe from a trader, an importer. So my farm produce that I want to sell, how many labor hours would it enable me to get? So how many clothes would I be able to get? You understand? So how many clothes would I be able to get? But then he's not looking at clothes, he's looking at the number of labor time that went into the clothes. Okay, so how many of it would I be able to get? So that was just it. So value in use, talking about labor saved, right? Value in exchange, talking about um, the labor that you are going to gain. Okay, labor gain. So it's just labor saved, labor gain. So it's just trying to establish just labor, just putting labor in the whole thing. Okay, now let me read again. Now on the other hand, value in exchange is the labor purchasing power. So this thing I'm selling, how many labor hours would it help me buy? Okay, of the commodity if traded. That's talking about value in exchange. Now the amount of labor that the commodity can buy, that's what it means. Consequently, labor is the real measure of exchangeable value of all commodities. So he's saying that as an individual, if I want to sell something, what I'm thinking about is how many labor hours would I gain if I sell this thing. You understand? So because I'm thinking in terms of labor, so he now says that in exchanging things, that is in buying and selling, it is labor that is the real measure of exchangeable value of all commodities. How many labor would I gain? So that's just it. Okay. So how many labor hours rather? So in support of his labor hours being the determinant of a product value, Smith postulated the paradox of value. Okay. Smith postulated the paradox of value between water and diamond as regards its value in use and value in exchange theory. Now, this were his words, so I'll pick a quote now, talk about quotes, which is also from his book. So, if you to talk about discuss the paradox of value, just talking about what we want to say now, which is like the paradox that exists between water being important but selling for a poor price in the market, and then diamond not being that important in the lives of people but selling for a very high price. So you will see the way he argued it in terms of labor hours. Okay, so he said the things which have the greatest value in use, the things which have the greatest value in use, from his own observation, have frequently little or no value in exchange. So he's looking at it. What determines market value of a product? What determines the price that you pay for a product? So now he's talking about, is it the value in use or the value in exchange? Okay, let me go back again. The things which have the greatest value in use have frequently little or no value in exchange. And on the contrary, those which have the greatest value in exchange have frequently little or no value in use. Okay, as an illustration, nothing is more useful than water. So that means water has a very high value in use, but it will purchase scarce anything. Okay, so water, the purchasing power of water is just small. Okay, it's purchase scarce anything, like it is so cheap to get. Scarce anything can be had in exchange for it. So let's say we want to trade, and what I want to give is water. Okay, a bag of water and get something. So like the amount you're going to pay for water is just going to be so small. Do you understand? So that's why I say scarce anything can be exchanged for it. I can't say what I have is water and I want to get a laptop from you. Like, are you playing? You stop playing. Okay. A diamond, on the contrary, has scarce any value in use. A diamond, on the contrary, has scarce any value. If you have a diamond now, so what can you really use it to do? To eat? It's more or less like decorate or put a ring on your hand or make it turn into a diamond ring, like stuff. So you can't just compare the benefit. So water is required for survival. Water is a need. Diamond is not. Okay, so you should expect that a needy thing, a thing that is a necessity, should sell for a very high price. But then that's not the case. Okay, so a diamond, on the contrary, has any value in use, but a very great quantity of other goods may be frequently add in exchange for it. So that means it sells for a very high price. It sells for a very high price. So now, what determines value? What determines market value? What determines the price of water? What determines the price of diamond? So that's the paradox. Do you understand? That's the paradox. Water is very necessary for basic human survival. You will die without water. That's just it. All of us will die without water. But then I don't think I've ever seen a diamond before, and I may not see it like that. And you understand? So it's not that important. So water should naturally sell for a higher price. But that's a paradox. That's the paradox of the value. It's not. Now, intuitively, second paragraph, it was saying that the exchangeable value of a product consists in the labor hours in its provision. Now, what does that mean? Though diamond be far less essential than water, it takes a lot more labor to find and refine, thereby necessitating a high exchangeable value. So can you see his labor theory of value again? So he's trying to tell us that diamond is selling for a very high price because the labor hours that goes into discovering the diamond and refining the diamond is a lot. So that's why diamond sells for a higher price. However, the abundance of water and its close proximity to man allows for less labor time exertion in its provision. So because water is everywhere, although water is very important, but it's everywhere. So how many labor hours will you spend in getting water in any place? Do you understand? So because you don't spend a lot of, I don't think if I ask you to get water right now, I don't think it will take you an hour, maybe a few minutes. You can just go anywhere and see water and just buy water. But can you buy diamond that way? You understand? So in the provision of water, it only takes less labor time exertion. So and because of that, the amount that water sells for is low. The market value of water is low. So consequently, water has low exchangeable value. Third paragraph. Essentially, Smith was saying that what determines the market value and the price paid for a product is less of its usefulness. So it's not the value in use, it's not really the value in use to an individual than of the labor hours spent in making the good available. So he's just telling that it's not really a matter of how useful this thing is to you. That's not what determines the market value. What determines the market value is what is the labor hours that goes into the provision of this product. So that's it. So he used that to also establish his labor theory of value. Now, I then have a question here, which is your first assignment. So is that so? All right. Do you, going by this paradox of value, do you agree with Adam Smith? Is that so? So you state your reasons. All right. The class is already so long, and I still want to talk about the concluding part of the labor because there are like 3 reasons that I explained here. Okay, that's it. Okay, let me just talk about the last one. So your first assignment, do you agree with Adam Smith's explanation of value in use and value in exchange in data? Okay, do you agree with Adam Smith in what determines the market value of a product? Okay, so when you say market value, that's the exchangeable value anyway. So the market value. So do you agree with him? So that's the assignment 1, and state your reasons. Alright, so the last time we're going to talk about under labor theory of value. Okay, we also talk about natural price. So natural price that we know today is the equilibrium price of a product. So today we distinguish between natural price and market price. So market price is the price that the product sells that is a deviation from the natural price. So any price other than the natural price is what he calls the market price. So the market price of a product can be higher than the natural price, can be lower than the natural price. But based on the invisible hand, the force of demand and supply, okay, whenever there is a distortion in the market and the market price is above the natural price, the market will eventually equilibrate, okay, and then the natural price is going to be restored. So that was the explanation. Okay, now let's read. Adam Smith also distinguished between market price and equilibrium price, which he calls the natural price. Okay, and the natural price is determined by labor hours. So that's just like the price determined by labor hours that goes into a product. That's what he calls the natural price. The price determined by the labor hours that goes into a product. Okay, so if the market price should deviate from the price that is being determined by labor hours that goes into a product, he is saying that there will be an equilibration. Okay, that was his language, equilibrates. Equilibration, and that natural price that is determined by the amount of labor involved in the production of a commodity, okay, production and distribution of a commodity now, okay, is going to be restored in the market. So according to him, if the market price exceeded the natural price, e.g. in the case of a higher demand for black clothes, this was also another example from his book. In the case of a higher demand for black clothes, during the public mourning of a king has died, and then people have to like buy black clothes. So there will be more sellers of the products. So of course, that period demand is going to increase, right? And that will be forcing the market price higher. So he's saying that what's going to happen is that immediately the price is already immediately it's becoming costly. You will find more sellers of black clothes in the market. That's what it does. We find more sellers. Everybody's coming for the profits. Okay, there will be more sellers of the product, raising supply. So demand has risen. So he's saying that supply would also rise until the natural price is restored. Okay, and you know all of this. So first, he's saying that there will be an increase in the market demand for the products. That will force the equilibrium price. That will force the natural price and the market price higher. Then supply too will continue to increase gradually until the natural price is restored again. So that's the point that he's saying. You know all of this from demand and supply. So you're just trying to now see who introduced these things. Okay, and from what circumstances was he did he introduce these things? All right. So if the market price were below the natural price, now look at it. If the market price were below the natural price, that is below the equilibrium price, okay, people buy more because the product is cheaper now. So people begin to buy more of the product until the market price equilibrates with the natural price again. So once the price is lower than the natural price, it is cheaper. So many people start to come and buy more. Okay, and then you will see that as more people are coming to buy, you see that market price will be increasing again until it's restored to its original equilibrium point, to the natural price. Okay, which is the labor hour determined price. So this means that no matter what happens, the natural price will be arrived at. And since the natural price is determined by the amount of labor embedded in a product relative to others, ultimately labor hours determines price. Labor hours determine price, or let's just say labor hours determine the market value of a product. So that's where we are going to wrap it for today. This class is already too long. So I had to like talk about these things very well, because you know every other thing that we're talking about now, every other thing that we're talking about, will be making significant reference to the work of Adam Smith. So now, if this is the foundation of modern economics, so why should we not build it very strongly? All right, see you in the next class. Bye.